up, guys? Welcome back. We are at Brenham CrossFit and it is 6:35 in the morning and only crazy people are up this early making videos. But here we are. Today I wanted to do my favorite muscle up progression. It is without a doubt the best muscle up progression there is. And I wanted to share it with you because it's not a real common one, but it is the one that I use to teach myself muscle ups. And it's what I use to teach everybody else muscle ups, and it works pretty much 99% of the time. And that's because I think it's very unique compared to other progressions you see out there. This progression, though, I will say, assumes that the athlete has some basic level of strength. So I'm assuming you can do a couple strict pull-ups, and I'm assuming you can do a couple strict ring dips, and you're to some degree comfortable on the rings. You can stabilize on the rings. So this particular progression, I call it the half muscle up, and it's because I've literally chopped off the two ends of the muscle up. So I've taken the big kip and pull away, and I've taken the extension out of the bottom dip position away, and you are strictly working on the transition. But I think that's what makes this muscle up progression so great, is that you are isolating the transition on the rings, which is probably the hardest part and the most difficult thing for athletes to understand what it feels like going from a pull into a press. So half muscle up, I'm going to break it down step by step right here, right now. And then I'm gonna get up on the rings and we'll break it down even further, and I'll show you guys how it's done. The thing is, you are completely unassisted. You are off the ground. Your feet are not on the ground. You're not using a band. That's what makes this progression so different, but it's also what makes it so effective. So because you are up on the rings, you are holding your body weight, you probably are gonna need a crash pad or some mats below you, just in case you do fail and you do have to come off the rings. Okay, so just a couple notes. One more is the false grip. We're using the false grip, and you will probably do your first muscle up with a false grip because it is easy to transition from a pulling into a pressing because my wrist is already over and on top of the rings, and that's why you do a false grip. Very rarely do you have people who have the awareness that can flip their wrist over because it requires you to loosen your grip on the ring in the midst of your transition, which is a very hard thing to teach. It's something that you kind of just have to learn via practice. So false grip to start out. There's tons of instructional videos on the false grip. The basic one though is you're gonna karate chop the rings where it sits at the base of the hand, almost on the wrist. Karate chop, and then you just grab the ring from there. It should look like that. Even when you're in extended position, that wrist should be on top of the ring. And that way, when I pull and I get in through that transition, I'm ready to press. My wrist is already on top of the rings. Now that does require some wrist strength, some grip strength to be able to hold that. There's tons of things you can do. I can make a whole other video on that if you're really interested. But for the most part, just try to get to this false grip position so you can come through the transition and press. Okay, basic overview before I jump up on the rings. Here's what we're gonna do. Like I said, you are completely unassisted. This is you and your body and your strength. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna hop up on the rings and you're gonna pull yourself into a chin up position with a false grip right here. You're gonna try to get as close to your chest as possible. What you'll do is you'll use a little baby kip. So you'll send your legs back just slightly and then swing them forward just like a normal kip. And all you're trying to do is create a little bit of momentum to kind of give you a little shove through the transition. I like to tell people to rip open their shirt and headbutt. Those are the two big cues I use. There's some other ones, but those are the two most effective because ripping open your shirt, like Superman, that's exactly what you're doing when you're going from this position into this dip position. You're just gonna rip open the shirt. You wanna keep those rings nice and tight to the body in the stable position. And then also a headbutt because you need to go through the rings. Here you're behind them, your center of mass is slightly back behind the rings, and when you pull and you transition into that pressing position, your center of gravity needs to be in the middle of the ring so you can press up. So you need a little bit of momentum and a big headbutt to shove you through and get your center of gravity over the middle of the ring. What you'll probably notice right away is that I'm not using a traditional kip.
I'm not passing through the hollow hold and the hollow arch positions, and it's definitely not pretty. And that's because, one, I'm maintaining and holding a lot of tension in the upper body, and it makes it really hard to have a good kip. But also, I'm not focusing on the kip for this particular progression. In other words, I'm just trying to generate enough momentum to kind of propel me through the rings so I can feel the transition and I know what it's going to feel like when I transition from a pulling position and into a pressing position. So do not expect a graceful or beautiful kip when you're up on these rings like this. Just know that you're just trying to generate a little bit of force to propel you through these rings and focus on feeling the transition.
So what I'm going to do now to progress this exercise and this progression even further is I'm going to extend my arms a little more and lower myself, creating more distance between me and the rings, and force myself to actually pull before I go into that transition. So the ones you just watched, I had no pull, I was just using the little momentum to go straight into my transition from here to here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend, get the rings away from me a little bit, use a bigger kip, because I've got to pull more now, I've got to go a little bit further, use a bigger kip and go into that transition. And this is how you connect the pull to the transition. So being comfortable pulling and then coming through. I'm going to show you, great progression, I love it. Here we go. What you'll find is that the lower you get, the further you get away from the rings, the bigger kip you can generate. When I was here and the rings were close, it was very hard to generate a good kip because I have so much tension being held in the body already. When I loosen and get away, my arms are really what's holding me up, a little more of my lats. I can relax my core a little more and create that big kip that I want coming from the core. I'm not holding so much tension here. So you'll find that this will naturally progress you through a kip. I would also say a good progression to pair with this exercise is hips to rings. And that's a pretty common progression. Just focusing on a big kip and relaxing, making sure you have a big long pull. You pull your hips all the way to the rings, trying to get the rings to touch the hips. It's a great progression to pair with this progression because they complement each other very well. And I guarantee you, if you can master both of them, you'll have a muscle up in no time. All right, guys, hopefully this helps you out. Let me know when you get your first muscle up. I want to know, especially on the rings. I love ring muscle ups. I've come to love them, and I didn't always love them. But let me know if this helps you out. Love you guys. Hope you have a great week. See y'all later. Peace.